And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick here, taking you through to that closing bell. It's a global simulcast. Carol Massar, Tim Stenovec, they join us right now. Welcome to our audiences.
Nobody wanted to play with you on set? Aww.
I didn't know we could do I didn't know we could do a $3.
You can do a $3.
How you doing? Is it
Be
hard?
Be careful, Carol. We can do a
hard?
$2 too. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms, television and radio, in our partnership with YouTube. Green on the screen, Carol Massar, for a third straight day here. Remember that scare we had, a couple weeks ago?
Everything is awesome.
Everybody was jumping out of the pool. Looks like people are willing to wade back into the water.
It's amazing, right? As we try to kind of dissect what's going on between the U.S. war with Iran. That's kind of confusing. We'll see what we get in terms of economic data. Big jobs report on Friday. Everybody's still trying to figure out Fed chair. I always want to say Jay Powell. Sorry.
Well, you've said it for the last 8 years.
So. Yeah, don't blame Jay
it's
Powell.
It's like
for
amazing
this.
These things that just roll off.
What do you think Jay Powell's doing right now?
You can probably send him an IB on the terminal.
I tried that.
I don't know. It's really fascinating how quiet, right? I give him a lot of props that he's letting the new Fed chair do his thing.
Well, I'm curious about this because, obviously a lot of people did not take well to his communication or lack thereof on Wednesday. We saw that visceral reaction in the bond market. Obviously, yields tamped down today, though that seems to be more tied to what happened with the yen intervention. But it gets to this idea that most people are still betting on yields to be higher than where they are today, higher than where they were even on Wednesday.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Well, we get the closing bells here in New York. Thank you, Carol Massar, as we await a couple of earnings coming out, too, including from Palantir and on Semi. Green across the screen for all of the major indices here in the U.S. The Dow Jones Industrial Average adding about 700 points, or 1.3%. The S&P looks like it's going to close right at that 7,600 level, barring some huge tick in the next second or so. That's up about 111 points, or 1.5%. The NASDAQ Composite up about 2.1%. NASDAQ 100 up about 1.8%. And everyone else also getting in on the action. The S&P 400 mid-caps up 1.1%, Dow Transports up about 1%, the S&P Equal Weight up 1%, and the Russell 2000, Carol Massar, up 1.7%.
All right, good stuff. That's your big overview. Folks, I'm going to go back to the big caps, the large caps, S&P 500, and you find most names in that index remain higher. 340 names gaining ground on this Monday, 163 to the downside.
Yeah, and sort of no surprise here when we look at the major indices here in the U.S., the major sectors, I should say, is communication services out in front, up about 4.3% on the day. Discretionary stocks, industrials, and tech stocks all getting bids. To the downside, though, energy, staples, and healthcare. Those are your laggards. All
right, so let's go to some of the individual gainers. Amazon, not too shabby. Now a $3 trillion market cap company. For the first time, crossing that threshold, becoming only the 5th company ever to reach the milestone. You can see the stock up about 4.6%. It has been on such a tear since it reported earnings last week. It's up 25% in the past 3 trading days. So we've seen investors certainly snapping up shares. It's joining NVIDIA, Alphabet, Microsoft, and Apple as the only companies that have reached this size. The average analyst price target calls for the stock to rise about another 14% over the year, where it currently trades, according to Bloomberg data. I should point out, too, AWS CEO Matt Garman joined our own Ed Ludlow on Bloomberg Tech earlier, and he said that the potential AI business for the company is just massive. So all in on AWS. Let's flip it on over to Boeing, also an outperformer in today's session. Tim pointing this out. Thank you very much.
I was
co-host.
The 737 MAX.
I know, up 8% in today's session. First of all, you had a couple things going on. Boeing received sign-off for the 737 MAX 7 from the FAA, ending a certification process upended by 2 fatal crashes and quality lapses. This review has been going on for about a decade or so. Boeing has about 282 unfilled orders for the MAX 7, so that opens up that gateway. The certification of the MAX 7 key to rounding out Boeing's 737 family and helping it generate cash and improve its balance sheet after several tumultuous years, to say the least. I should put out BNP Paribas, I'm trying to rush through, raised their recommendation of the firm.
French, Carol.
To
French.
Paribas?
Yeah, Paribas.
Did I say Paribas?
We took Spanish in high school.
Muy bien. Wow. No. BNP Paribas.
Well, you are from California.
You're right. I know that. Raised their recommendation on the firm to outperform from underperform. The analyst there sees risks for the firm abating over the next year. So that's certainly. And then I'm just going to throw one more in there. First Solar, top gainer in the S&P 500, biggest move intraday since October of 2025. First Solar up more than 10%. The Citi analyst Vikram Bagri raised the firm's price target on First Solar to 297 from 294 and keeps a buy rating. Jefferies, meantime, lowered their firm's price target on it to 196 from 207 and keeps a hold rating. The stock at 232 and change here.
All right, those are some gainers. I got some decliners. I want to start with one in the hospitality industry, Marriott International. The company said that room growth for 2026 would likely come in at the lower end of earlier guidance. Shares fell by 7% today. It's all about construction delays in the Middle East. It does expect net unit growth toward the bottom of its earlier forecast of 4.5% to 5%, the company said in a statement. And the conflict in the Middle East could continue to affect results, according to Jennifer Mason, the company's CFO. In the crypto world, shares of Circle Internet Group, also known as Circle, fell today by about 3.6%. We got a note from Morgan Stanley. They downgraded Circle to underweight from equal weight / its price target from $106 to $38. That implies a 39% decrease from last price. Morgan Stanley cited lower expectations for stablecoin circulation, a view that Circle's business model, too, will need to transition from reserve income toward transaction-based revenue. And finally, a couple of restaurants on our radar this afternoon. Sweetgreen shares fell 8.2%. Yum Brands down, let's go ahead and round that up to 3%. The CDC said that 2 deaths have been identified as part of the Cyclospora outbreak affecting Michigan. We also got the Bloomberg News report this afternoon that said that Michigan health authorities were actually in touch with Taco Bell's parent company, Yum Brands, about a parasitic outbreak in early July that was weeks before the company officially alerted consumers. Sweetgreen down 8.2%, Yum Brands, the parent of Taco Bell, down 2.9%.
All right, we are getting some earnings. This out of Palantir for the most recent quarter, its second quarter. It does look like a beat on the bottom line, 41 cents a share. The street was looking for 35 cents on average. Revenue above estimates at $1.94 billion in the quarter. The street was looking for about 1.81. Here's your forecast. We're going to start with the full year. The company says for the full year, expect revenue of $8.15 billion to $8.16 billion. So a tight range there. But more importantly, that's above where it had guided prior, 7.65 to 7.66. So basically going from about 7.66 billion in guidance to about $8.16 billion in guidance on the revenue side. As far as operating profit, the company also nudging its forecast up higher to $4.89 to $4.9 billion. On average, the street had been looking for about 4.5. So basically a beat and raise quarter for Palantir. Those shares up about 7% in the after-hours trade.
Yeah, a bit of a reversal. Maybe this is exactly what analysts were hoping for, because not analysts, excuse me, investors in the name, because the stock's down about 29% year to date. It is off about 40% since the stock hit a peak back in November. So some outperformance, certainly when it comes to that outlook in terms of fiscal year, is maybe why investors are saying, okay, here's a little bit of good news, 7.7%, Tim, to the upside.
I'm looking at the press release right now for some commentary from Alex Karp, and it's very much in his style of speaking. He says that demand for AI sovereignty has been unleashed. Palantir is the only company, according to Alex Karp, that has demonstrated it can transform tokens into actual economic value. He says our customers trust us to provide them with maximal control over their operations data and decisions. He mentions the Rule of 40 score. He says this quarter was otherworldly. Our U.S. commercial revenue grew. The Rule of 40 score climbed to 155%. The sovereign AI revolution makes us very optimistic about the future, he says.
And the Rule of 40, you add annual revenue growth and profit margin. The idea is that it should equal out to 40% or higher to make the company thing. And just a quick fact check, they're not the only company, but who've actually hit that on the token issue. But nevertheless, those shares up about 8% now in the after-hours trade. Meanwhile, slightly to the downside is onsemi, the chip maker, out with its results on the bottom line for the most recent quarter. 56 cents a share, up from 41 cents a share in the previous quarter. Adjusted EPS, that's a GAAP number. Adjusted EPS at 74 cents a share. That is a slight beat. The street was looking for 71 cents a share. Revenue in the quarter we'll just call it almost in line with estimates, 1.6 billion. The street was looking for 1.5 billion. Here is 1.59 billion. Here is your forecast. The company says that for the current quarter, expect EPS of 81 cents to 93 cents a share. The street on average was looking for 84 cents. And it says expect revenue of 1.65 to 1.75 billion. The street on average was looking for 1.67 billion dollars.
Yeah, and what's interesting is you're seeing the stock certainly rally in the aftermarket. It's up about 2.5%. It's been on a bit of a tear this year, up almost 50% year to date. 8% of that float is short. They've got a fair amount of exposure to the industrial space, automotive in particular, so we'll be looking for some commentary on that. But again, investors liking what they heard. This is the company's adjusted operating expenses forecast misses estimates for the third quarter. That's just a quick headline on some of our commentary on the Bloomberg. Again, on semi, up about 2% here in the aftermarket, and we'll continue to watch also Palantir. That one we've seen moving as well. I'm just going to bring it up real quick on my Bloomberg, and it is up 8.8%.